Proverbs chapter 3. My son, again, it's addressed to Rehoboam. God could be speaking to us. Forget not my law. Now, this is not the law of God. This is Solomon right here. Solomon is king of the nation. Solomon has directed laws outside of God's laws. Like America has put laws that are outside the laws of God. You can't find anywhere in the Bible a stop sign, a yield sign. But you're to obey those laws because they're right and proper. If you don't adhere to a stop sign, you're going to be causing yourself trouble, pain, and anguish, and loss of money. So there were laws that Solomon put in the land that are outside the law. But let thy heart keep my commandments. Solomon had laws and commandments outside what the Lord's given. As a father, he would command his children. Find me in the Bible where it says, thou shalt tell your children to brush their teeth. Find it. Find in the Bible that, the children to make their beds. It's not there. But it's a commandment and it's a law in the house of parents to their children. And you'll find Romans 1:9 and Romans 7:25 and Ephesians 6, 2 and 3 as cross references. And forget not. You know what? We tend to forget. Ecclesiastes chapter 14 verses 13 and 14. We forget. We got to be reminded. We take the Lord's Supper because you know what? We get so active in life, so active in this world, and so active in self, and things breaking down and paying bills that, you know what? We forget what Christ has done for us. We forget that He's coming. You got to be reminded, the Bible says. Man needs to be reminded. History needs to be reminded. For length of days and long life and peace shall they, the law and the commandments of Solomon, add to thee. Romans 13 says, listen, if you break the law, you are in the hands of the government for punishment. Mom and dad will show you laws and commandments that will protect you, will keep you from death. It'll add life to you if you obey what they say. It's also a commandment in the Big Ten that shows up in Exodus 20 and shows up in the church age by Paul that you're to honor your mother and father. So what is honor? Honor is to keep the law and keep the commandments until you move out of their house. But even still, you move out of mom and dad's house. What? You don't brush your teeth no more? You don't make your bed? You don't touch the fire on the stove or touch the electrical red hot burner unit? Just because, I'm out for my parents, I don't have to do what they told me. That's foolish. You see what I mean? I was taught by my mom. And I was punished when I didn't do it, which is not being taught today. You look both ways before you cross the street. That's not being taught today. Parents are not teaching their children length of days and long life and peace. And we could just go in all the things that parents teach their children, but we're not going to go into that. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Now you better show mercy and you better have truth. Don't get rid of them. And it says, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Well, guess what? Mercy and truth is able to leave your life. Don't take it for granted. Bind them about thy neck, and write them upon the tables of thy heart. The neck is the outward appearance, and the heart is your inward. And you've got to keep them. They will leave. If you leave yourself to the natural state of man, you'll be unmerciful. You leave yourself to the world and the devil, truth will be gone. So shalt thou find favor, it's approval, and good understanding in the sight of God first and man. We are to have truth every day. We are to show mercy whenever possible. And that will be favor, approval by God and by man. Listen, even if they hate you as a Christian, they got to respect your character, and they're going to say anything about you to try to get you, like they did with Joseph, like they did with Daniel. They're going to have to lie. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, not half heart. Remember all the Psalms we talked about, the whole heart? That carries over to Proverbs, from what David wrote us to what his son has written us. Put your whole heart into God, and lean not unto thy own understanding. Don't believe yourself. Seek counsel. Seek someone to help you. Seek prayer. Religion is a crutch. Yourself is a rubber crutch. See, men use religion to walk, where God can heal your walk, like we discussed last night in chapter 2. But when you trust in yourself, you're walking down the street with a pair of rubber crutches. It's like having no bones. Don't think you have all the answers. In all thy ways acknowledge him, God, and he shall direct thy paths. How do you like that? You got to rely on God, and you got to trust in God, and you got to get God as your direction. Today we trust in too much electronic gizmos called GPS. We don't rely on God. There was times, probably stories before electronics, probably in the horses days and stuff like that, where somebody ended up where they weren't supposed to, being lost, and the work of God turned to the glory of God. Sometimes our errors are God's faults for his purpose. And they're just limits of what could be the stories. What could be happening by you not being where you think you're supposed to be, and God saying, that's exactly where I want you. See, man fears the unknown. Man fears that, where am I? And God says, I know exactly where you are. The eyes of the Lord in every place beholding the evil and the good. I know exactly where you are, and I put you there. So you can't say it was you. Be not wise in thine own eyes, even in the tiniest details. You don't have all the answers. God does. Someone is always more experienced than you are. Not one human man has all the answers in his own life. He's got to go to different people. Even if you get the oldest man on this earth today living, he does not have all the answers. If he's got a horse, he may have to go to the veterinarian to find out what's wrong with his horse. If he's got a car, he may not be able to fix the car and has to go to a mechanic. Not everybody has the answers. When there's a problem in your life, don't you go running in there, hey, I know the problems. You don't have any idea. Even if you're an expert in something, there's always something you don't know it 100%. Leave room for doubt and leave room for somebody to come in and say, this is how it should be done. Don't think you have all the answers. Fear the Lord. That runs back in Proverbs 1:7. Fear the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. So you want to know something, you're to continue to fear the Lord, and He'll show you and guide you. Chapter 2. When you get in your pride and you get in your loftiness and you get in your, I know what I'm doing, I'm Mr. God. Okay, fine. Son, Holy Spirit, let's just back off and watch him make an idiot of himself. Okay. Been there and done that. Be not wise in thine own eyes, fear the Lord, and depart from evil. Job 28:28 is a reference to that one. America has no fear of God, and she's reckless, and she's proud, and she's destroying herself. You've got to rely on the fear of God to give you knowledge, and you got to depart from evil. You got to break from your sin. You got to break from your wickedness. You got to put them under the blood. You know what I mean? Today, whatever, I forget what I was doing. And you know what sin that came to mind? That I confessed it. And it's sin that was before I got saved. And it was sin after I got saved. And I'm not afraid, and I want you all to know, and yourself. You know what I confess and put under blood? All the money I wasted on junk that wasn't for God. All the stuff I bought that I don't have today that I had to have it back then. I needed this or I need that, and then put my money out, sometimes credit and stuff like that. And I don't have it today. I didn't ask somebody, do I really need this? It's a sin. Now, the counsel of God, verse 7, it shall be health to thy navel. What's that? It's your belly button. That is the center of your body. You know what's behind your belly button? Your intestines. You know what the first thing, the doctor told me this. This is from a doctor. I forget which one told me. My stomach doctor. He says, you know what the first thing that happens when you fear? It's called your stomach gets tight and not. And what he says is your intestines go into overdrive. Your brain sends a message down there, digest. And that's why people get ulcers. Too much worry. And yet it's a natural thing for the body to do that. When you fear the Lord, the health to the navel is not anxiety of ulcers and other problems. It's a center part of, the navel is where you were connected to your mother for your feeding and everything you needed for life, the 9 months in her womb. I said something wrong the other day, and I'm going to make an apology to about it now. I said every sinner has a belly button. Adam didn't have a belly button. He became a sinner. And Jesus Christ had a belly button, and he's definitely not a sinner. But the characteristics of a man that is a sinner is he has a belly button. Innie or an outie, except for Jesus Christ. You were given life by your mother through your belly, through the umbilical cord. All your food that God has given you goes through your intestines that are there. Your kidneys are there. Your liver is there. You look at what is behind your stomach on any picture or diagram of the human body. digestion. God will take care of you. He'll give you the food you need. Americans today, we got food that's so artificial and so sugary, man. I'm surprised our body just doesn't throw it up and say, what was that? Let's try again. If you read the ingredients. And marrow to thy bones. Now, marrow produces blood. That is where the blood is formed. Your bone marrow. And one of the tests that they do to see if you got cancer, they'll take the bone marrow. They'll take it. And they'll test your white blood cells. Your bones are part of your blood system. And health. You got healthy bone marrow, you got healthy blood. Honor the Lord with thy substance. If it's yours, give it back to God. Money, everything. And with thy first fruits of all thy increase. Malachi 3, 8, and 9 on this. When you make a buck, give it to God. You the whole dollar? See what I mean? I'm not going to put limits. Whatever God stirs your heart. When you give to God, God is able to return. Now, let's look at the Old Testament now, which we are in. Verse 10 goes with verse 9. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. Can anybody give me an example of somebody in the New Testament that did exactly what God told him to do, and he didn't have plenty? He wasn't bursting with new wine? That this verse goes to a Jew in the land. We're not, I'm going to give the Lord money, and I'm going to support missionaries. I'm going to expect God to give me new wine. Grape juice? You can go down the store and get grape juice. This is for a Jew. Paul did everything he was supposed to. And if you read the pearls of his life, there was times he said he fasted, and then there was times he hungered. There's a difference between fasting and hunger. Hunger means he did not have food. At the end of his life, he calls for parchments. But all the riches he gets in heaven, the crowns. But if you were to read this verse and look at the life of Paul on this earth, you would think he was a failure according to the Old Testament, and he was not. You know, there are Christians on the other side of this world that live in a place that there's absolutely, if you have a bug to eat, that is riches. And yet, in the eyes of God, they are wonderful and they are blessed. So when you read Malachi and you read chapter 3 here of Proverbs, it's for the Jew. You know what God says about the Christians first? He wants a cheerful giver. Not grudgingly. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth. Even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth. Now you can find this in Hebrews. God will chasten a Jew, and God will chasten a Christian when you do wrong. It is because he loves you, and he wants you to do right. In whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth. He's our Father. We have done wrong. He won't correct you if you haven't done wrong. If you're doing right, you are correct. When you do wrong, you need correcting. Even as the Father, the Son, in whom he delights. God likens himself, for he is the Father. And take that to, listen, the world today would have you think that correcting is mean and vile and gruesome, and it's not. It's love. It's letting your child go to hell. Letting your child go and do whatever he wants to. That's wrong. That's a sin. Happy is the man which is blessed. Happy is the man. John 5:19. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom. And we talked about the wisdom. Verse 6 of chapter 2. For the Lord giveth wisdom. It's not the wisdom of man. It's the wisdom of God, ye happy. Have you just ever read your Bible and you see something and how joyful it gets you? Wow! It should. And the man that getteth understanding. Read chapter 2, verse 6. For the Lord giveth wisdom, and out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. It's of God and not man. For the merchandise of it, the wisdom, verse 13, is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. Listen, that wisdom that you get from God, the understanding that you get, that's going to last for all eternity. Yeah, so what? Friday you got a paycheck from the boss. How long is that going to? That's the problem. Sometimes with the economy it is today, that doesn't even, that check is gone on Thursday. And you don't even have to live vile and be wasteful the way things cost today. There was a time when your check was spent on Wednesday when you get it on Friday because you bought things you weren't supposed to buy. Groceries and gasoline is expensive. Money goes bye-bye. And when you die and the Lord tarries and your body is put into a coffin, if your body rests at the bottom of the ocean, if you die on top of a mountain, your body dies in a tornado and they can never find the body. That's it. You don't take anything with you. You take no gold and no silver. You know, all those pharaohs. All their riches were. You know how you know Pharaoh wasn't a god? You find his stuff in a museum and he's not doing anything about it. If that guy was a god, listen, if I was a god and you broke into my house and stole, I'm going to fight you. Like we heard a news report tonight of a pastor, who caught this woman on video stealing his packages. He did something about it. But when all your stuff is sitting in a museum and even you are sitting in a museum, all wrapped up and nowhere to go, come on. And people worship them. Duh, he's wrapped up. He has no power over death. Unwind him and see what he looks like. She, well, who's the she? Wisdom, personified as a woman. Young man, son. Before you think about that wife, you better think about wisdom. Go after her. She is more precious than rubies. You wait till we get to Proverbs 31 if we ever get there, the Lord willing. The virtuous woman. That's the woman a Christian is to marry. A Jew was to marry, and Solomon says even before that's mentioned, because Solomon did not write Proverbs 31. Before that's even written, Solomon says, listen, you know what's better than rubies? It's not the woman. It's the woman called wisdom. So let's build another statue and another building in Washington, D.C. in honor of wisdom. Knuckleheads. That don't work like that. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared with her. Anything you want, anything you desire, anything that's on this planet cannot match wisdom. But if you have wisdom, and you have the wisdom of God, and if it's a right thing, James says, you can ask the Lord and see if the Lord will give to you if it's not asked amiss. You know wonderful things that you can know that you can ask God, and God says, I'm going to grant that. I don't see anything sinful with that thing. I'm going to give it to you. And you know how to get it. How about that? Length of days in the right hand. You know what America's missing? She's missing wisdom. How many people are sitting in the cancer ward because and the Surgeon General tells you on the pack of cigarettes that while you are in the medical ward fighting lung cancer and wasting your money on medical attention that the Surgeon General told you. How many people who do not have a liver because, flip me another one. One more round, happy hour. Oh! How many people have been killed because of lack of wisdom? No, you're not supposed to drink and drive. It's all over the place. It's all, even the beers put it on the thing. It's not wise to drink and drive. Well, how'd you get that junk into the store? You drove it there. And in her left hand, we got a right hand and a left hand. Riches and honor. Riches comes after wisdom, Matthew 6:32. Now, you say, well, wait a minute. You're not supposed to desire silver and gold you just read. Yeah, but you go after wisdom and you wait to see what she'll give you. You know what Paul had with riches and honor? You know, he had the greatest jail ministry. He's in jail one night with us. Hey, let's just strike up the band and start singing. Glory to his name. Before the hymn was written. Glory to his name. And God says, well, watch this, angel. Boing, 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 boing. Oh my God, what happened? Oh my, OMG! Take my sword. No, no! We're all here. That's a miracle. I love preaching that one at the prison. The guy got saved. That prisoner, that jailer is accounted to the prisoner's account. How do you like that one? Paul is going to wear a crown of his jailer. I saw the most stupidest thing today. A pair of earrings that said OMG. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You can't wear them in school. You're not allowed to have God in school. You can't wear them in the courtroom because you can't bring the 10 Commandments in the courtroom. Where are you going to wear them? I'm going to wear them in church. See, look, I'm a Christian. OMG. Her ways, as a woman of the eyes of a man, her ways are ways of pleasantness. Ooh, nice. A nice little picture of snow on a field. That's the only place I like to see snow, on a field with a covered bridge. Pleasant, beautiful, natural, nature. And all her paths are peace. James 3:17. You know the mess of turmoil and troubles and problems which I have been in, and you sit there and people look at you, why ain't you breaking down? I mean, like I am. I guess you don't see it. And they see you like, wow. Nothing more than God's peace. She's a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her. Tree of life. It's a salvation. Had Adam taken that tree, he would have lived forever. But guess what? Didn't you see that Adam and Eve did not have the wisdom of God? They did not fear God. They didn't know. Had they known what pain was, they would have gone right to the tree of life, taking that, and God said, okay, I got to prevent them from the tree of knowledge of good and evil because they can't take. You do know that, right? And happy is everyone that retaineth her. You can lose what you have learned. I went to school to be a lawnmower mechanic. I bet you put a lawnmower in front of me now, I probably forgot most of it. There are people today in a nursing home, they probably couldn't tell you the ABCs. I couldn't name all the presidents. And I had to in school. I had to name them by order. Makes it harder and harder because they keep adding them. You can lose what you learned. You better know that. You better not rely on yesterday's Bible reading. You better stick. Listen, I know there are Bible verses that I memorized when I first was saved, and because I didn't stick to it, I can't quote them today. I'll read that passage and go, wow, I used to know that. The Lord by wisdom. This wisdom is Jesus Christ. Has founded the earth. And by understanding has he established the heaven. Does it say the Lord by another wisdom has founded the earth and by another understanding? No, this is the same wisdom and understanding you can get from God. That knowledge and understanding and wisdom that God had to make everything that is to be made, you can have that wisdom. You want to walk into any high school science room on the day we're going to talk about where everything came from. You think you're going to find the wisdom of God? And then they teach something. The Big Bang. Okay. Teacher? Yes. Where did the Big Bang come from? And what is their wisdom? I don't know. And then Romans 1, the professor in the college that teaches it, professing himself to be wise. They became, Mr. Professor, yes, my public school science teacher couldn't tell me where this Big Bang came from. Where did this Big Bang come from? I don't know. Well, where did the nothing come from? If it was nothing. I don't know. What do you know? I know how to cash my check. You sucker. You're paying somebody who doesn't know. Try that with your car. I got something with my car right now. I don't know. Well, that helps me a lot. Next time it rains, and my lighter blade's going to shut off, or are they not going to shut off? I don't know. I mean, it gets annoying. Something breaks in the house, you look at your kids. Who broke it? I don't know. Not me. I love that Family Circus cartoon there. The little ghost, not me. I'm going to claim that not me in my taxes next year. Dependents, 3 of them. I got one boy, I got one girl, and I got not me in my house living. And he eats. I know not me eats and drinks. Well, he's going to be a dependent on my IRS next year. IRS going to probably look me up now. Alright, where was I? By his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down the dew. Job 20 verse 6. That knowledge that God causes dew to drop in the morning, that it's so beautiful, that runs down off the leaf and knocks the caterpillar off. That's the same wisdom you can get. And yet you can't explain dew. Because you may be wrong. Now we can explain rain. Solomon tells us how it's rain. But explain dew, and whatever it is, it could be wrong. God could get to heaven and say, you morons. This is what it was. But we can have that knowledge for God to have dew. And most Americans don't see dew. Because they wake up too late. The dew's gone. My son, again, let not them, wisdom, understanding, knowledge, depart from thy eyes. Philippians 4:8. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. Keep it. So if he says keep it, what do you assume that can happen? You can lose it. You can't lose your soul, but you can lose the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So shall they, again, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, be life unto thy soul. How about that? And grace to thy neck. Your eternal part, if you keep the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of God, you will be saved by the blood of the Lord Jesus Christ. You will obey and know what God expects for you to do in your life, and you will earn rewards, and God will give you grace to your neck. You know what goes through your neck? 2 arteries. That if you were to puncture, you'd be dead. Your voice. Your food goes down. Information from your brain to the rest of the body, and the rest of your body to the brain. When you breathe through your neck. I would want a little wisdom from God and a little grace from God. You know, you can get a stroke by one little inside scab. That's what it is. It's a scab inside you. It goes up into your brain and prevents oxygen. There's a lot going on between your neck of your body that you don't even know. And when you smoke too much, they put a hole in your neck for you to talk and breathe properly. So, do your neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, after wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and thy foot shall not stumble. Chapter 4, verse 19. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Want me to get me? Lord going to strike me dead because yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Yeah. God tells you to work for a living, and when you lay down after a hard day's work, and you fall, oh, good, feels great. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. Revelation 18:4. Don't worry what's going on with the wars and the famines. And listen, if you die, you're going home to heaven. If a plague or something happens to you, health like that, you're in God's hands. That's so hard for us. We're built in with anxiety. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken a trap. That's why you gotta try. That's why you gotta live daily for the Lord and do right with the Lord daily. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due. Romans 13:7, Galatians 6:10, Romans 12:17. That's a common thing. If it's due to him and it's good, give it to him. When it is in the power of thy hand to do it. It's your ability. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If a missionary needs $3,000 for a car because their car died on the field, and all you got is $5, you don't have $3,000. Listen, that $5 is better than $3,000. Somebody else will match it. Don't go make a pledge about something you're not going to be able to give. If you want to give that $5 cheerfully, without grudgingly, listen, he's $5 more than what he had before. And you know what? You take the workplace today. There are employees being withheld from things that are being due to them that they're not getting. And these businesses, you wait till God gets a hold of you. It is a sin. Say not unto thy neighbor, same subject, go and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when thou hast it by thee. Luke 11:5. This is a James 2:12. This is a word of I can never say that word. Putting things off is a sin. I'll do it tomorrow is a sin. And it may be your deadly destruction of your soul or earning rewards for God. You never want to put things off. Devise not evil against thy neighbor. These right now are just common sense things. Seeing he dwelleth secure by thee. Listen, in general sense, your neighbors that live around you, hey, that guy's a Christian. He's not going to do me harm. Unless you're a worldly Christian. Matter of fact, if I'm away, he's going to look out for my place. And if he sees somebody who doesn't belong here, if he knows, he's going to call the police. Don't you do anything wicked to him. Now, we got a neighbor, oh, you call the police on this and that. And listen, it's the truth. You're not a good neighbor. And I don't trust you. And I fear my family as a result when it comes to what you're doing. That's not Bible. That if an animal gets out, I am to rely on that was accidental. That guy did all things possible to make sure that wouldn't happen. And that's in the law. Strive not with a man without cause. Don't you start a fight just to start a fight. These talk shows and all that. If he have done thee no harm. If he's done you no harm, there should be no cause for you to have arguments or problems with him. Envy though not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Let's see, where's the note here? I have a hard time seeing. Psalm 37:1, Proverbs 24:1, and Psalm 73:3. Envy is just wrong. It's just wickedness. For the forward, unyielding, is abomination to the Lord. Not yielding to God, rebelling against God is an abomination. So if you do what God tells you not to do, you are abominable. You are forward. You are not yielding to God. You are not doing what he tells you to do. There's religions out there like that. But his secret is with the righteous. Psalms 25:14. And 1 Corinthians 2:9-13 and Amos 3:7. The curse of the Lord is the house of the wicked. How'd you like to have a curse of God? You know how long a curse lasts? Go back to Genesis chapter 3 and see how long that curse lasts in 2014, on September 24th. There's a woman probably today, right now, in the midst of pain, giving childbirth somewhere in the world, and that's from Genesis chapter 3. God doesn't curse the righteous; He curses the wicked. But the blessings, or the blessedness, but He blesses the habitation of the just. You be just to God, He's going to bless you. Now, you can't be a worldly Christian. He's not going to curse you and He's not going to bless you. He's just going to let you just do what you want to do. He'll leave you alone. But if you're just and do what, He'll bless you. He blessed Paul, and look at all the loss that Paul had, as far as the worldly sense. Surely He scorneth the scorners, but He giveth grace unto the lowly. Lowly, that's opposite of pride. The wise shall inherit glory. There's that wise. But shame shall be the promotion of one promotion. You want a shameful promotion? God will give it to the fools, and the fools say there is no God. And we'll get into fools in Proverbs. Rest assured.